Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning in. For this lesson, I'll be talking about the Beatles recording of Glass Onion that they did in September of 1968. The song was written by John Lennon in India when he was studying Transcendental Meditation with the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Bear.
Hey, boo-boo.
That never gets old. But the title was one of John's suggestions for the band The Ivies, but they decided to go with the name Badfinger instead. About the song, John has said, "That's me just doing a throwaway song a la Walrus, a la everything I've ever written. I threw in the line the Walrus was Paul just to confuse everybody a little bit more. I mean, it was actually me in the walrus suit. It could have been the Fox Terrier's Paul. It made me laugh because there had been so much nonsense about Pepper, turning him upside down and standing on his head and all that. The line was put in partly because I was feeling guilty because I was with Yoko and I was leaving Paul." And Paul is on record saying, "He and Yoko came round to Cavendish Avenue and John and I went out into the garden for half an hour to finish up. But it was his song, his idea. Although we'd never planned it, people read into our songs and little legends grew up about every item of so-called significance. So on this occasion, we decided to plant one. It was not significant at all. But it was John's song. I'd guess I had minor input or something as we finished it up together." September 11th, they're at EMI Studio, and on this day now they have 21-year-old Chris Thomas producing the sessions for Glass Onion. They do 34 takes of the rhythm track with John on his Gibson J160 and guide vocal, George Harrison playing a Stratocaster, Paul on Fender Jazz Bass, and Ringo playing a combination drum set of his old and new drums, and they determined that take 33 is the best. Fun facts to know and tell. Glass Onion is the first track on the White Album where Ringo plays drums, because he had left the band for a while, and Paul plays drums on Back in the USSR and on Dear Prudence. And I've always wondered if John was influenced by the James Bond theme, because he uses that minor chord to a raised 5 to a minor 6 on the Oh Yeah part, and George Harrison also used that same move on Savoy Truffle. On September 12th, they did the overdubs. John sang his lead vocal, then he double-tracked his lead vocal. Ringo played a tambourine, and he overdubbed snare and cymbal crashes. Next day, September 13th, Ringo double-tracked his snare drum hits and the breaks. Paul added some notes on the mellotron. Paul also played some piano. And then on September 16th, Paul and Chris Thomas recorded that simple recorder part. September 26th, John Lennon decided to add some sound effects, and they were a telephone ringing, a single note of an organ, a BBC soccer commentator shouting, "It's a goal," and the sound of a window being smashed. But when George Martin returned, he was unimpressed by John's sound effects, and he didn't like the mellotron, and he convinced John to let him score a part for strings. So strings were recorded on October 10th, and they were 4 violins, 2 violas, and 2 cellos. The song was mixed that very same night. It was released on November 22nd on an album called The Beatles, but we, of course, know it as the White Album. So that's the backstory. Let's get started. John Lennon is playing his Gibson J160E on Glass Onion, and to do so, you'll need these chords. You'll need an A minor. You'll need a couple F7s. This one. And then like an inside F7 like this. You'll need a G minor. A C. And you'll need a straight F. 2 different D7s. This one and this one. And you'll need a G bar chord. During the bridge, you'll need that A minor again to an A minor raised 5 to an A minor 6th to an A minor 7th. And I believe those are all the chords you'll need to play it. Now there's a lot of syncopation and a lot going on here. Of note is like when he hits the F7, he plays just down to the 2nd string, and then like probably like on the end of 2 gets all 6 strings, like. And switching between chords, there's a lot of open strings, like from the F7 to the A minor he'll play. A lot of that. And there's some anticipation. So what I'll do is I'll play a verse very slow, exactly how he played it, so you can follow along with the chart. And here's nice verse 1, nice and slow. 3, 4. A lot of syncopation there. Again, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com will make it a lot clearer. Verse 2, same kind of thing, a lot of syncopation and a lot of, open strings in between chords. I'll just play it for you slow again so you can follow along. Here's verse 2. 3, 4. Then on the bridge, it's a little straighter and a little easier. So on the A minor part on the bridge to the raised 5 to the 6th, it's just like this. Here's the bridge, 3, 4. And then, of course, the last verse, same kind of a thing, a lot of syncopation, and the regular F. Yeah, the regular F's going to happen again. So on verse 3 is like this, very slowly, 3, 4. And on the end of 4 there, of that last, right before the last G, played 2 G's instead of F to G. Again, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com will make it a lot clearer, but I thought I'd do it nice and slow so you could see exactly what he played. But that's what John Lennon did on Glass Onion. George Harrison is playing his Fender Stratocaster on Glass Onion. It's a strange little part, and he makes a couple mistakes. You know, after 33 takes, what are you going to do? Bound to make a clunker or two. But pretty much straightforward, staying within the chords for the most part. So when it starts on A minor, he just plays an A note on beat 2 and then a 3-note A minor triad. So it's like 1. And he goes up and gets an F up here. Repeats that. Back to A minor. And for this G minor, he goes up and gets it on the 15th fret. Gets his C triad here. 1. Now this is a straight G chord, but he plays kind of like a G suspended. He does that. Then it comes back down to C. He goes 1. To a D. And then anticipates on beat 3. He plays like, on the end of 3 rather, he goes 1. and then kind of just like a from an F to a G, but just. So let me see if I could do that in time. Goofy little part. 2, 3, 4, 1. That's what he did. Verse 2, looks like he wants to go from this A minor to this A minor. But he goes, open G string, you hear a 1. All right, really slow, 1. To the F. And then, only time he does this little 16th rhythm is on B2, 1. Like that. To an A minor, down to G minor, up to C, slides down. Now on here on this G minor, you hear him play a major chord on beat 1. Then he catches up, back to minor, slides a full G minor up to C. All right. D, mutes it, and up to a again kind of like a half of an F. I'll try to do that in time. Verse 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2. Odd little part, that's for sure. Then on the bridge, it's a lot simpler. Just on the A minor, like this. 1. Now here, it's an A minor 6, but he plays a F triad to an A minor, A note. So he's probably, might have been trying to get to this A minor, but he went there. So the whole bridge, 3, 4, 1. And you have to have small hands to get that full G at the end. But that's what he does to get up there. Verse 3 is a lot simpler, but there's a couple of quirks I'll show you. He starts off with a 4-string A minor, up to a full bar F. He goes 1. Now on this G minor, he plays an F triad, up to a C and a G. Catches up for the C, and on this G minor, kind of a G suspended to the high part of a G. Back down to C. Sliding up to the F. Now here, where it should just be a regular D, he gets into a D sharp diminished. So he plays like. And then he's going to play 2 G's on the end. Which is, again, hard for me to grab. So you can grab 4 strings if it's easier. Let me see if I can do verse 3 in time for you. 3, 4, 1. Okay, again, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com will make it much clearer than I can say it or play it. But that's George's part on Glass Onion. Well, I put it together in a sound-alike so you can see how it fits together and in time. So have a look at this.
I told you about strawberry fields. You know the place where nothing is real. Well, here's another place you can go, where everything flows. Looking through the back tulips to see how the other half live. Looking through a glass onion. I told you about the walrus and me, man. You know that we're as close as can be, man. Well, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul, standing on the cast-iron shore, yeah. Laying my down trying to make ends meet, yeah. Looking through a glass onion. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Looking through a glass onion. I told you about the fool on the hill. I tell you, man, he's living there still. Well, here's another place you can be. Listen to me. Fixing a hole in the ocean, trying to make a dovetail joint, yeah. Looking through a glass onion.
Well, now you see how all the parts fit together, and I suggest you download the charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com. Learn both parts, play along with my sound-alike, and you'll get it just like the Beatles. And I appreciate your consideration in supporting my work that way. And you may have noticed that I used an ebow for some of the string parts. I'm also using a string synth, but to get some of the slides and stuff, I used the ebow, which is a kind of an electromagnetic little wonder that you put, by a pickup, and it simulates a violin. Worked good on the ending and on the bridge, Handy little gadget you might want to check out. So again, have fun playing this great old song, and I'm Mike Pachelli. Until next time, thanks for hanging out with me.